He even said, if you were on the other side of the fence, I'd be your best neighbor, but you're right beside me, so. Unfortunately, when you have a disability, you gotta do it more. You've got to prepare that community more than you do to let you be part of their community.
I went to Paris, Texas, with a suitcase in my hand.
I'm Deb McDonald.
I'm Jay McDonald. We have a son, Jared, that lives in a COR home and has for 9 years.
Both of us, when Jared was born, were devastated.
Yes, it was crazy, man. The day after he's born, we're sitting in a room with 3 other mothers, and the doctor comes in and says, you got a child with Down syndrome. And I go, okay. That just, whew.
Well, floored. I was ignorant.
Yeah,
I didn't know what it was. And then the bad words come in. I don't even want to say it. And the material that was given to us was outdated, like they die. And that was probably my biggest fear. We lucked out with Jared. He has really no other health concerns other than when he was 10, he was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. And so he was medicated for that and has been since then. And our life went on.
Like the summer breeze, when everyone's stars bright.
I have to say that ESIP, and that's where I was eventually employed, played a big part in our life at the very beginning. They came right to the hospital and provided up-to-date information and a philosophy too of inclusion.
Yes, ESIP helped us a lot. They came to the hospital, talked to us, and then just said, go home and love him for 6 months. And this is just a baby. It's not a person with disability, it's a baby. Let's love him first, and he's your child. School was a big challenge. You're fighting against the system, what they wanted and what we wanted. And we did not want what they were prepared to offer.
And we started right then on the inclusion model, and Manitoba the government was going that way, and that they're bringing all the kids home to their home schools. So Jared did start in our home school at West Grove School in Winnipeg in kindergarten. Then he got transferred back to Regina. And that's where the battle started. The school system wasn't ready for what I wanted. I wanted full inclusion, and they told me, well, I said, why can't you provide inclusion for Jared within the city? You can get it in any country school that you go to around Saskatchewan. Moved to the country then. So that was devastating, but we stuck to our guns, and Jared started at Deshay, and we were provided an aide. And at that time, it was a full-time aide in the classroom, and he started back into kindergarten, and he stayed a second year in kindergarten. And then we had a second child too, so Lexi was in the mix, and she started at that school. Elementary school went. We had our battles. I was called to the school constantly. For Jared would always get in trouble at recess.
And I think within the elementary system, there was people there that didn't want him there, and I think he felt that.
And it was devastating for Jared too, because nobody really understood him. You know, his language, and it's still to this day is an issue for Jared. You don't understand. You gotta be in his world, know what's going on for that day and pick a word out of it. He's much better in his pronunciation, but that's my regret in the school system. Maybe if we would have chosen to be in the segregated system, he could probably read better. When Jared was in grade 4, we were, unbeknownst to us, had a psychologist come into the school, watched and observed Jared in the classroom, and then they pulled us into a meeting and said, your son doesn't belong in this school. He doesn't fit in. And they had me in tears, and I went to a psychologist and said, well, I have a psychologist that I could bring in that can tell you that he can thrive and flourish in this classroom and in this environment. And that's what we want. I said I wanted Jared in a regular classroom and to have supports in that classroom for him. We wanted Jared to be going to the same school as his sister was going to. You know, one Christmas concert, all the school dances, all that. We wanted it to be one, and we wanted Jared to be included in all of that. For the most part, I think we did get that for Jared. But as far as the education piece of it, the reading piece of it, the school system failed him in that regard, and I think I sort of feel a bit of guilt about that. But as far as inclusion goes, Jared had it. When you want your child to be involved in all those things, you have to be prepared to step up. Parents need to take on another role and be the supervisor or part of the team that goes on those band trips or those choir trips, and I always went, and Jared thoroughly enjoyed all of those things. So I think the education system needs to be able to be open to outside resources that could help them, and they kind of closed their doors on some of that, which I think to their detriment, and students, because I felt the biggest part of children with disabilities is their ability to socialize with people. So it was a fear that Jared was going to be in a segregated environment. And it was Jay's biggest fear was
institutionalization, something like the way it was done in the past, where people were shipped off to Moose Jaw or North Battleford into major homes. I just did not want that for our son.
Institution was never really offered to us, but we knew it was out there. We were at the time where Moose Jaw was bring everybody home. And again, that was a situation that needed a lot of paving the way before they come. Unfortunately, we live in a society that's what you really need to do. You need to prepare people for what they're going to be coming into, and preparing our communities for who people are with disabilities. And they're still out there. We're still fighting that all the time. I think we put Jared on the list to have a independent living situation. Shannon would come to us every year, and we weren't ready for him to move. We weren't ready until we knew when he was ready.
Yes, we do. And I remember the meeting with you and saying, yes, we want him on the list.
We want a placement for him.
Yes, but and that made all the difference going forward, because we knew that eventually he was going to be there. And then when his sister moved out, then he wanted to move out.
Jared wanted everything at his sister.
Yes, he was struggling with okay, she's gone, why am I still here? And why do I have to have mom and dad telling me this and that and whatever? So yes, that was the next, I thought, challenge. But the actual move into COR, smooth. It was because it was prepared and planned.
The transition we had, and they're still on staff for Jared right now, is Murray and Justin. They came
into our house and got to know him and spent time with him, right?
Yeah, they'd do stuff and do outings and spend time with him up in his room and play his PlayStation, and just weekly they came and spent some time with him. So that transition was nice. Jared got that job through 4 to 40. Jared got that job because he was Campus for All, part of Campus for All. We were part of Regina Association for Community Living, which turned into Inclusion Regina. Jared was all of those steps, and that's what got him his job at the university, because he was included in that way. And I remember the night of meeting Donna Flam, and it was at the Christmas party for COR, and she came and suggested this to me, and I'm going, oh, this sounds exactly what we want. He loves his job at the university, and he's got some friends at the university where the people that he works with, and I don't know them all. I mean, as a mom, I used to be in contact everything that he did. But now that he works, I don't know all the people that he knows. So it just works out well that he goes to work and he has a job coach and
He likes it. He needs it. He needs consistency in his life, just like we all do throughout when you're younger and have the energy. You need to be doing something.
as a parent, I'm just proud. The ministry chose then who went where. Jared and Jamie's needs are different. And Jared is a walking individual where Jamie's not, and he's in a wheelchair. And people were chosen with those types of disabilities to be together. But I think Jamie and Jared were the first ones to be put together in a home that were opposite of what they did. And it works. It doesn't have to be that way. I think it was eye-opening for the ministry. Very eye-opening for them to see when you've got the support of an organization like COR and you've got the support of the family, this can work. We're so happy that he is in the home that he's in. The fact that we got to choose, COR was able to let us help pick out the home. And we had lobbied and whatever to get the funding and stuff for Jared and Jamie to have it through COR. At the very last minute, I think we even had the house bought, picked out. I think COR had invested, and then they said no. There was a few people in the neighborhood that didn't want them there, didn't understand. So both Anna and myself were on the phone immediately, talking to ministers. I had conversations with them. Probably for 2 days straight, I was phoning back, and I wouldn't let up.
I remember a meeting with the minister.
When he first moved in there,
They wrote a big letter, and
I was devastated. We're in 2015. We have people in our community that don't want my son living beside them because they think it might take away the value of their property. I was floored. I was in tears for 2 or 3 days when that happened. I wanted to go right to his door and say, how dare you do this? How can you think that a young man with a disability could detract from your future sale of your property? And he even said, if you were on the other side of the fence, I'd be your best neighbor, but you're right beside me, so.
they had that initial letter, and then they backed off when there was a lawyer that responded to what they were saying and said, look.
This could be a human rights violation here.
Yes.
Well, to have it still existing in this day and age where people have that view of people with a disability, that kind of information spreads throughout the community, and that's how they get painted. Everybody gets painted with that brush, and it's so unfair. As I said before, it's the fear of the unknown. But I think that is the education, the transition, and making people aware before you even broach the area where you're going to live, and COR was doing that. Meeting Jared and Jamie was what really brought their community around to see who they really were. Yeah, well, and Jared went around and you guys weren't you giving out cookies or chocolate? No, flowers. And of course, Jared's language, they don't understand him. And he said, hi, I'm your new robber. That's what it came out, and he meant neighbor. Yeah, and we were just going through all this hassle, and I thought, okay. Unfortunately, when you have a disability, you got to do it more. You've got to prepare that community more than you do to let you be part of their community. Well, Jared's got his disability written on his face. Everybody recognizes Down syndrome, and they've got that mindset, something set in their head of what that means. And as parents of a child, having a child with a disability, you have to be prepared to do more. And I know there's parents out there that don't. And I wish they would. But you do need a strong support network behind you. And I think COR does that now. COR's kind of taken that over, but families need that support. They can't function without it. Otherwise, they go by the wayside and they're not going to get what they really need to get out of life. I was always devastated sitting on co-management when I heard things like, you have to make an appointment to come and see your child. So we were seeking something like COR and their philosophy.
Well, I met COR through Prairie Spruce Commons, and that came into a meeting and presented their philosophies and that, and it's nothing but positive since.
To me, COR was the best of both worlds. It was the answer to what we needed. I worried that it wasn't going to work. I was always concerned when Jared first moved out. I was going, okay, we can't let him come home for weekends yet because he's just not going to want to go back. It never happened. It was just the biggest relief in my life that he really wanted to be there, and it was his home, and he sees it as that, and he's happy. That was our key to know. We know Jared's happy. Right from when Jared was finishing high school, we need to be prepared for the future. And so that's why I put Jared on that list. We knew that he needed to live independently from us because we're not going to be here. We're going to go before he does. As a parent, as a mom, I can't let go of always knowing what's going on with Jared as far as his doctor's appointments and dentist appointments. But it's very comforting to know that COR is taking that on and that resource is there for me to rely on when I can't do it.